In this video, we're going to be looking at some melodic creation using the Maschine Mk3. In particular, we're going to use the Chords mode as well as the Notes mode to generate some melodic content on this loop. So I've got a few sounds loaded in here. I've got some drums on my first group. On my second group, I've got a bass loaded in. But I've also got some sounds ready to add some more melodic content. So for starters, I've got a synth. I think it's a massive synth, and on my third pad I've got a form sound. I'm going to add some melodic content using these two sounds. So for starters, I'm going to go and select my massive synth and enter into the chords mode, because this is a really cool way to just get some more interesting content on a loop like this. So without this chords activated, and I trigger this sound using the keyboard, it's okay, but it doesn't have that much feeling or power, and I don't want to add, using this sound, too much of an obvious melodic riff, just something to really kind of drive it and give it a bit more atmosphere. So that's all right as it is, but let's try and add something a bit more interesting using the chords mode and also the scale snap. So I've added a bass. Look at our events, our first sound. So I've added a bass on G, so I'm going to select G minor as my scale. So I'm going to go back to my massive synth here and the keyboard and set the scale snap to minor. And what you want to do to select which minor key you're in is use the semitones and drop them down. In our case, it's going to be G. So now we're in G minor. So all the notes here, all 16 pads, they just snap into the G minor scale. But what I want to do is trigger a chord with this sound, like a nice minor chord, so I can just activate the chords mode very easily and then select my chord. And if I select the type to be 1, 3 and 5, it means every time I press this first pad, it adds an extra note 3 semitones up and an extra note 5 semitones up. Or I can go 1, 4 and 5, 1, 3, 5 and 7. Let's stick to 1, 3 and 5, but go an octave down. And just record something in like that. We'll look at our events, and we've got this nice, although I was only pressing one pad, we've got this nice chord thing happening now, which is a bit more powerful than that individual note. Let's add a bit more movement to it. Because it's just the same chord re-triggering, lots of movement is going to keep it interesting in an arrangement. So let's just record some of that in as automation. So it's constantly moving, keeping interest in the sound. And now let's take a look at our third sound on this group. And again, we could look at some chords. It might be a monophonic sound actually, so it's not going to trigger the chords. But if we go into Notes mode, which is relatively new, I think this was introduced on the Maschine Jam. Take the chord mode off for now. So Notes mode allows us to strum notes using the touch strip. So at the moment, because we've got this minor scale activated, it's just strumming notes from the G minor scale. If you took this off, it's just going to strum chromatically. It's quite useful to have that scale snap in combination with the notes mode to snap to the scale, or if we activate the chords, it strums through the chords, which would be more effective on a sound like a polyphonic sound. But things get really powerful when you combine the notes mode with note repeat. So go back to my synth sound here, and let's take it off for chords for now. So let's now activate the note repeat, like this. So it still strums, but it does it according to our note repeat grid settings. And it becomes a very intuitive way to get melodic content into your loop. Let's go back to the keyboard, drop it down an octave. And we can get more detailed control over the notes that we're strumming by, if we hold down these notes, it's going to arpeggiate between these 4 notes I'm holding down because the note repeat's on. But then if I press the notes mode, that is now triggering. So we can do little melodic gestures. Now let's add a delay to this synth sound to make it a bit more interesting, give it a bit more atmosphere. Add this beat delay. And do the same work that we were doing before. Go into our note repeat. Changing the gate means we get longer individual notes. And that fits the vibe that we're after a bit better. So let's just record some of that in. And we can see all those notes triggering. Could go again and use that gate. So let's record another pattern. And get rid of these events. Something else I noticed, by complete accident really, that was when you're in pad mode and you have notes mode activated, say on a drum kit like this, it will trigger the different pads, especially with the note repeat on. And we can start to create nice, really energetic drum fills. What it's doing now, it's triggering different pads in my drum group here but according to the note repeat settings, so we could change this for something a bit more crazy. It works quite well on the 1/16 grid. And then to drop the kick drum out, keep that vibe going. It's just triggering different pads in my drum group according to the note repeat settings. Okay, so a couple of things there, just some intuitive and very quick ways for getting melodic content into your projects on the Maschine.